out in the sun. Where I live, it's very hot, so there's always some nice, good sun rays to soak up. As long as you live in the northern hemisphere, I bet it's nice and warm for you too now. It being June and all. Oh, I guess it's July, man. Sometimes it's so easy to lose track of time. So, especially when you just go with the flow. The temperature outside today is in the 90s, but because of the high humidity, the feels like temperature is above 100. I love the heat. I love the warm feeling of the sun beating down on me. So, what I want to talk to you about today is a little story about changing your mind. I think that one of the best things you can do is, when you realize that you're wrong about something, change your mind. It can be so easy to just hold on to whatever you grew up with or whatever you thought was right from the start, but when you're given new information, it's very important to change your mind. I've changed my mind about so many things in my life. I was raised a Catholic. When I was a teenager, I changed my mind. And then I changed my mind back again as an adult. But that's not what this story is going to be about. Today, I'm going to tell you about how I changed my mind about twilight. Now, I'm not talking the time of day twilight. I'm talking about the teen novel. Now, I was admittedly a young person when the Twilight novels were released, but I was absolutely not interested in them. Sure, I liked Harry Potter and I liked Lord of the Rings, but I was far too grown up to care about a teen novel with a vampire love interest. At the time the books came out, I was much more preoccupied with reading things like the Da Vinci Code or Dante, Shakespeare, things like that I thought were real literature, than reading books that were made for children as I saw it. And it wasn't just that I was uninterested in Twilight. I made fun of people who were. I laughed about it. I thought it was dreadful. And the truth is that I'd never read the book, and yet I would make fun of people who liked it. And I had no idea that I would end up liking it if I gave it a chance. Well, when I was in college, I made fun of it mercilessly. I stole I shared all sorts of memes making fun of it. There was this meme that what it would have would be like a couple, like a romantic partner, or even stuff that wasn't like romantic, like a mop and a mop bucket, right? Just things that go together. And then it would say, still a better love story than Twilight. And I would share those, and I made a few of those, in fact, when I was young. But I still had never watched it, never read it, had no interest in it. Well, I don't remember why I decided to read it, but I think that I had been on a kick of reading young adult things again. I had this strange idea that I couldn't read young adult things if I was going to be studying literature, but my husband convinced me. He said that if I like it, then I should read it. And at the time, I was probably 19 or 20, and I worked at a bookstore, and they had this sale at the bookstore where you could buy, if you bought 3 books, one of them would be free. So like buy 2, get 1 free. But I also got an employee discount on top of that, which was 30% off. So I picked out a bunch of teen books to read, and I had about 8 of them that I really wanted. But I knew that if I could just find one more book, then I could get that book free. So there was going to be no consequence really to choosing that one, because it was free even if it was bad. So I looked and I looked at all the different options, and pretty much the only option that kept coming back was New Moon, which is, I don't know if you know, but it's the second book in the Twilight series. I know that most people refer to it as the Twilight Saga, but a saga is a very specific thing about Icelandic and Norse myths. So I can't bring myself to call it a saga. But the Twilight series was one on sale. Now, my husband actually had a copy of Twilight already. And the reason my husband had this copy, before you start to judge him, was that when he was in middle school, he saw a commercial on TV for Twilight. And he thought, hey, I've never seen a commercial on TV before for a book. The book fair is tomorrow. This looks like a cool vampire book, and so I'm going to get it. But he didn't realize that it was not really a cool vampire book. So anyway, he had this copy of Twilight, and one of the books that was on sale for the buy 2 get 1 free special was the sequel. So I figured I'll get it. It costs me nothing, and after I read these other 8 books, I will read Twilight, give it a try. And part of me was like, when I get to this book, I'm mostly going to read it to make fun of it. That was my thought process. Like, I'll make better memes. I'll find something, humorous about it to talk to my roommate about, because my roommate at the time also really, really hated Twilight. And she hadn't read the books, but she had seen the movies, which I had not. So, anyway, I read the other 8 books that I had bought, which maybe I'll tell you about sometime, my rediscovery of young adult and middle grade novels. But when I finally got around to Twilight, started reading it. And let me tell you, just right off the bat, I really enjoyed it. And it wasn't long before I had finished the second one and went to the Goodwill to see if they had the rest. And in fact, they did, so I got the rest of them for just a couple of bucks. And I read the whole series like really fast. And I really liked it. It was so surprising to me because I had this just really firm perception that I would hate them, that I would think they were foolish, and that I would think they were goofy, and that I would think that there was this overemphasis on love for teenage girls. And I was a feminist at the time, so I thought I would be deeply offended by it as well. And maybe that's another story. But I wasn't. I liked it. And slowly but surely, I realized, I need to change my mind about this. I like it. And I think that pretty much everybody has stuff they like that they can't explain why. And that maybe they understand objectively that it's not good content, but it appeals to them. I know a couple of people who feel that way about anime. They're like, I recognize that some of this content is sort of garbage, but I like it. And that's how I ended up feeling about Twilight. There was this sense in Twilight that everything was going to be okay. Bella had this unexplainable peace about her, where the waves of life would wash over her with challenge and difficulty, and she just sort of hovered above it. I aspire to be like that, to have difficulties and circumstances wash over me, and to just keep this steadfast comfort, this focus on domesticity, because that is how Bella is. She cleans, she cooks, she does laundry, she falls in love, she's a good daughter, she's a good girlfriend, and a lot of her appeal is this sort of peace. And I loved it. It was a great comfort to me. So the long story of it is that when you prejudge something, sometimes you box yourself out of being able to enjoy something that you really would like, or that would bring you peace or comfort, or something that you can't even describe, something you don't know what to expect. And so if I could urge you in one thing, it would be to always keep an open heart, to always wonder, to always investigate what is good about this. Take the good, leave the bad. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. And as always,